The F-15 Eagle is considered the most capable fighter ever developed. Designed by an American aircraft manufacturer, McDonnell Douglas, in the 1970s, it is considered a superior fighter in the air. Produced in over 1,000 units, it is mainly used by the US Air Force. It has also been exported to a number of other countries, including Israel and Japan. A specialized ground attack version has also been developed. It's true that the F-15 Eagle has been deployed in a number of different versions, each more interesting than the last. What's more, it's still relevant today. So, what does the future hold for the F-15 Eagle as a whole? The F-15 Eagle has always been described as an air superiority aircraft. What are the secrets behind its history? As early as 1964, the United States Air Force, USAF, needed to find a replacement for the F-4. The F-4 Phantom II was one of the most important American military aircraft of the 20th century. In 1981, its last aircraft was delivered, after 20 years of loyal service. Nevertheless, the United States decided to think bigger and think further ahead. This prompted the USAF to launch a new program, the FX. The F-15 Eagle entered the scene. The invitation to tender was issued on September 30th, 1968. It concerned a high-performance air superiority aircraft. Fairchild, North American, and McDonnell Douglas presented their projects. The McDonnell Douglas project was selected on December 23, 1969. On July 27, 1972, the prototype made its maiden flight and passed with flying colors. It was followed by 9 other aircraft. After many names, the two-seater prototype was finally codenamed F-15B. It flew for the first time on July 7, 1973. A second model followed. The aircraft showed excellent performance. It can reach 20,000 meters in less than 2 minutes. It also boasts excellent autonomy. What's more, its low wing loading gives it excellent maneuverability. Its weight is limited thanks to the titanium in its fuselage. Likewise, its bubble-shaped canopy ensures perfect visibility. The F-15B was the first to enter service. The date was November 14, 1974. In January 1976, the F-15A also entered service. The F-15A was built in 384 units, while the F-15B numbered 61. Both versions were built between 1972 and 1979, but more on that later in this video. Before delving deeper into the subject, let's look back at a very important event for the F-15 Eagle, its maiden flight. As we mentioned earlier, it was on July 27, 1972, that this fearsome bird of prey made its debut. At Edwards Air Force Base, the promising F-15A fighter took to the skies. The goal was simple: to make the best fighter in the world. Pilot Irving L. Burroughs cautiously takes control of this precious prototype. His overall impression of the aircraft was very good. Admittedly, there are a few aerodynamic shortcomings to be corrected before the first single units reach the market, but on the whole, everything is perfect. After the F-15A and B, the F-15C and D take over. The F-15's first air battles confirmed the effectiveness of the American fighter. As a result, the number of missions for this unanimously acclaimed aircraft multiplied. Initially, the F-15 was just a fighter. As such, ground attack was of secondary importance to the American military. By the mid-1980s, however, the USAF was looking for fighter bombers. New versions were produced. In 1991, the Gulf War confirmed the effectiveness of both the fighter and ground attack versions of the F-15. This fighter was then developed for use in all conflicts. It literally became indispensable in attack, and in terms of air superiority. Now, under the Boeing umbrella, the F-15 is racking up export contracts. It is also doing very well against its rivals in commercial competitions. Its weapon system is constantly being updated. What's more, the excellence of its performance makes it a leader among fighting aircraft. In this video, you'll learn that old warriors never die. First, we'll look at the A, B, C, and D versions of the F-15 Eagle. The F-15A was the first aircraft to deploy ASAT missiles, designed to strike satellites. Trials were numerous and sometimes unsuccessful. This is the 17th example of this aircraft, which finally sets new records for climb speed. It made 8 flights between January 16th and February 1st, 1975. The F-15B prototype features 3-dimensional vectored thrust. As of 2009, it is one of the oldest F-15s still flying. Both versions were used by NASA for flight testing. The F-15C version is the first version of the F-15 to be fitted with fast tanks clamped along the fuselage. This increases the aircraft's range without reducing its performance. This represents a huge step forward. Additional electronic equipment was also fitted. Similarly, additional fuel tanks have been added in the wings, as well as in the fuselage. Radar performance was also improved. The first flight of the F-15C took place in February 1979. Deliveries began in the early 1980s. Over the years, improvements continued to accumulate. The two-seat version of the F-15C is the F-15D. The F-15E Strike Eagle differs from the F-15 Streak Eagle. In fact, the F-15E Strike Eagle is a modified F-15D. This version was developed in 1986. It gives the aircraft multiple capabilities. Its avionics have been completely modified. It is also equipped with a new engine. In contrast, the F-15 Streak Eagle is a kind of modified F-15A. The aim is to break the records for climb speed. As a result, the latter is much lighter. The air brake, flaps, radar, electronic systems, and weapons have all been removed. Aerodynamics have also been improved. At the time, the Streak Eagle was said to have broken no fewer than 8 records for ascent speed. In March of 2009, Boeing represented the latest version of its air superiority fighter. It's the F-15 Silent Eagle. This aircraft is equipped with stealth capabilities, thanks to a weapons bay, vertical stabilizers, and a new skin. The radar was once again improved, while the airframe was significantly lightened. Even today, these aircraft are of enduring interest to some armies. Indeed, today, the F-15 Eagle is still considered current. In fact, it's still in production. Of course, the current version has been thoroughly updated. This aircraft is both legendary and timeless. It's often said to be one of the longest-lived weapons aircraft in the industry. Today, the Boeing F-15EX Eagle II is one of today's best aircraft. In over 50 years of existence, this aircraft has come a long way. In early 2023, the US Air Force announced its intention to acquire 80 F-15EX Eagle IIs. This aircraft would be a key component of its combat aviation. It would complement the 5th-generation aircraft. To this day, it remains the only American fighter with the capacity to carry 12 air-to-air missiles. This was demonstrated by 2 such aircraft during tests carried out in Florida last November. The F-15EX Eagle II is powered by 2 new engines. It is also equipped with fly-by-wire controls and an active antenna radar. It also features an IRST sensor, an electronic warfare suite, a mission computer, and a digital cockpit, enough to make any army salivate. As you know, the F-15 has won over many countries, from one end of the planet to the other, Israel being the latest. In fact, Boeing is set to supply Israel with 25 upgraded F-15s. This good news was announced by the company's CEO. The announcement follows an official request from Israel. The request was made to the United States. The F-15IA is an improved version of the F-15EX Eagle, specially adapted to Israeli requirements. It is itself the latest advanced version of Boeing Defense's F-15. Israel is therefore determined to increase its air capability. Nevertheless, this news is unlikely to ease the tensions that have gripped the world in recent years. After watching this video in its entirety, do you still have any doubts? We don't think so. The F-15 Eagle is the most powerful fighter ever developed. Its air superiority is unquestionable. For over 50 years, its various versions have delighted armies the world over. What's more, production of this aircraft is still going strong, with no end in sight. What are the future possibilities for the F-15 Eagle?